A McLaren 765 Longtail reverses into view through the entrance of the Jimmy Murphy Centre at Carrington. The gullwing door from the driver's seat rises and Marcus Rashford emerges. This has been the season that Rashford has spread his wings. 37 Manchester United games and 24 goals. Rashford confirmed this is his season best goals haul before Shrove Tuesday. He is in world-class form, never mind career best, and he has bloomed into the complete forward those who coached him at the academy were convinced he would become. Rashford's academy teammate Ollie Rathbone once told me, "Marcus wasn't just the mark in his age, he was the mark of the academy." Rashford graces the interior and exterior walls of the academy building a goal kick away. He turned 25 in October and this season Rashford has exorcised some of the demons that lingered for a challenging 18 months and a season he admits he can't get back. Rashford has come back, such as United's frantic February of 8 games in 26 days. We are speaking 3 weeks before the League Cup final. When Erik ten Hag was notified of media commitments, he asked how quickly they could be conducted. Rashford has just completed a recovery session following his winning goal against Crystal Palace less than 24 hours earlier and he has driven over to the media hub for a formal portrait that will adorn banners on Wembley Way. After around 20 minutes upstairs, a hooded Rashford strolls downstairs, greets us wearily and eases into a seat. It is understandable after a 99-minute shift that United spent 29 of with a man down. Once the dictaphones click on, Rashford is an engaging talker and as icily focused as his signature celebration indicates. Rashford is reluctant to elaborate on the specific meaning of a gesture that has transcended sport. Now 7 years a first-teamer at United, he appreciates the mental resolve that is required. Football is probably 95% to do with your mentality, he says. For me, that's everything. That gives you the baseline to go and perform. Without that side, you're just playing off ability. At top level, it's not enough to win consistently. So there are a lot of players that have ability, that's why they play at the top level. But what sets them apart is the mentality. I've been on both sides of it. I understand the strength of it and the value of it. I am just concentrating a lot more on keeping myself in that headspace and I think it's needed in order to go and win games and trophies. Since we spoke on February 5, Rashford has scored in all but one game. His Premier League winners have secured a staggering 27 of United's 49 points and there have been 4 headed goals this season, almost as many as he managed prior to this season. I am just in the areas to score goals more consistently, Rashford explains. It's something I've been working on but in the last few years I feel like even the seasons where I've done all right I feel I could have added another 10 or 15 goals if I was more consistent in the areas. And this year is something I've been concentrating on a little bit more. The staff have been always giving me constant reminders to keep going. If the ball doesn't come, don't worry, believe it's going to come, because it's only going to come one time. Just having them constant reminders and stuff like that, I feel like I am just drifting into those positions now and it's great to be able to do that. I think Benny McCarthy obviously does a lot of work with the forwards but the staff as a whole are talking to you about that one chance. As a forward, that's sometimes the game. You could have a quiet game, conditions might not be so good, it's difficult to keep the ball on the floor, or you could be playing against opponents who don't keep the ball on the floor, and it's very different to how we play football. The type of chances you get might vary against different teams. But the only thing that I can focus on is me consistently being in the areas to score goals, and that's what's within my capabilities, and that's what I've just been doing. Rashford collected his 4 winners' medals as a teenager within a 12-month period. His professional career was not quite 15 months old when he lined up in the Europa League final against Ajax in Stockholm in May 2017, United's last triumph. Rashford has since started in 2 losing finals for United, the 2018 FA Cup and 2021 Europa League finals. The grueling Europa League showpiece against Villarreal in Gdańsk was a personal nadir. Physically stricken, Rashford was run into the ground and that night ground to a halt. The stadium announcer mistakenly announced Rashford had been substituted when it was Paul Pogba who was removed. Rashford creditably converted his penalty in the shootout, but was not as successful for England at Wembley 6.5 weeks later. Hampered by a shoulder injury that required surgery, Rashford had played through the pain barrier with a stress fracture in his back at the start of 2020. "For me, it's something I expect from myself," Rashford says of managing an injury. "To be honest, I don't think anyone, apart from the people at the club, they don't know how long I was dealing with those issues, and they probably won't know until I say. But it wasn't just one season, it was a period of time where every day was tough and you have to just sacrifice, and I've always been one to try and be out on the pitch as much as I possibly can. And for me, that's where I get the happiness. If I am out injured, I am not happy. I am dealing with the pain and I am not happy. So I would rather try and deal with the pain as long as I can perform and still help the team. I'd always choose to do that. At times, you have to pull yourself out, and if you don't, then you have to get people around you to pull yourself out, and that's what happened with the shoulder situation last season. It was the right time to get it fixed. I recovered quite quickly from that. And then the season happened. I can't get it back, but one thing I can do is just learn from it and try and do everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen again." That season, last season, Rashford tallied only 5 goals, and the last was in January. Twice he was named as a substitute by Ralf Rangnick when Cristiano Ronaldo, Edinson Cavani, Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood were all unavailable. A year ago on Sunday, he was dropped in favor of Anthony Elanga. Rashford is back in the talismanic form of 2019-20, back when United were also Rans. Now it is all to play for under the ascetic Ten Hag. Authority has been restored to the United manager's role and there is a more disciplined dressing room. Rashford and Cristiano Ronaldo were publicly punished for failing to comply with Ten Hag's principles. Ronaldo railed against Ten Hag's methods with a therapeutic ego massage by Piers Morgan. Rashford rallied with a winner off the bench against Wolves. His tardy timekeeping was addressed and resolved in one afternoon at Molineux. Rashford is fully supportive of Ten Hag's discipline, 100%. For me, that's why I never made a thing out of it, because if I was a coach, I'd have done the same. Because if you don't have standards in the training ground, how do you expect to go out on the pitch and win consistently? It's impossible. If you're gonna allow each other to slip or have an off day and no one says anything about it, which is at times a position that we've been in, and once you're in it it's difficult to get out of it because it becomes normal, and I've not seen it at this club before. So for me, it was a little bit strange, and it's even more strange when you're involved in it. So, as I mentioned before about constant reminders of being in the areas, it's the same thing, constant reminders about discipline. However harsh or unharsh that reminder is, it's a reminder. For me, it was not starting a game, but you have to accept it, you have to move forward. We spoke about it afterwards a little bit, briefly. But for me, once he made that decision, it's his decision and you have to respect it. Overcome Newcastle at Wembley and the Old Trafford Museum will require a new plinth. The League Cup alone would not sat Rashford. From when we won it last time, in 2017, that's sort of what happened in that season. We won the other trophy off the back of that. It gives you that winning feeling and the belief you can go on and win trophies. I think now at the minute we have it, and it's a good position to be in as a player because you feel like your aims and objectives are reachable, so I am pleased we're in this position. But when we played the first game of the Carabao Cup, we didn't want to get to the final and lose, we want to go and win the tournament. It's the same mentality we had from the first game, really. Yeah, it's a final. Yeah, you might have to approach it a little bit differently. But the end goal is the same as the beginning of the season, and it's to try and win the game. I've said before, when we've done well in tournaments or an individual does well in a tournament and you don't win it, it's all for nothing. So we want the performances that we've had in the tournament so far, we want them to count for something and stand for something, and the only way to do that is to go on and win the trophy. Sunday's final is exactly 7 years and a day since Anthony Martial strained his hamstring in the warm-up against Midtjylland, and Rashford was ordered back into the dressing room for a hasty prep talk from Louis van Gaal. Rashford pounced twice, one of only 5 United debutants to score at least 2 goals on their debut since the Munich air disaster. If some thought the limelight was temporary, it soon became permanent. 3 days later, Rashford put 2 past Arsenal. Despite the stratospheric start to his career, Rashford is dissatisfied with United's honours roll since 2016. We definitely could have achieved more, but I would have given the same answer if we had won a load of trophies, he stresses. I feel every opportunity to step out onto the pitch is an opportunity to win, and at this club you don't settle for anything less. When we lose games or draw games, it's not good enough. A draw feels like a loss anyway. Every time we're on the pitch, you're trying to win. Rashford said the first leg draw in Barcelona felt like a loss. I've not really had a period to stop and look back on the last 7 years because it's very much non-stop. We're playing games all the time, so the most important game is always the next game. It's not a game 6 years ago or 7 years ago. It's about the next one and keeping the momentum going. The interview ends and a colleague breaks from usual protocol to request an autograph for his United mad daughter who has started playing football. Upon learning her team's name, Rashford recalls losing a final to them with Fletcher Moss. United have a better chance in their final now Rashford has spread his wings.